Hi, I'm William Stewart, co-founder of Teleios. Welcome back to our verse-by-verse study on the book of Matthew. Glad you're here. We just finished chapter 10, the exciting story of Christ sending out the 12 disciples into Judea and the lessons that came from it. We start chapter 11 today. And it came to pass, this is verse 1, when Jesus had made an end of commanding the 12 disciples, chapter 10, he departed thence to teach and preach in their cities. So he went to teach again where the disciples had gone as follow-up. Good practice. Now, when John heard in prison the works of Christ, he sent two of his disciples. So this is John the Baptist. He also had disciples. John, as you remember, was arrested early in Christ's ministry. Verse 3, and said unto him, otherwise the disciples saying to Christ, art thou that he should come, or do we look for another? So they're asking, is Jesus the Christ? Or should they look for another? So again, I think in all the turmoil, probably the imprisonment, the clash with Herod Agrippa, and that John the Baptist had, and the disciples seeing this, perhaps they were all wondering and wanted assurances. Christ was not going around Galilee saying, I am the Christ. So I think he is presenting himself in the ways that we have spoken in terms of doing miracles, his teaching, his lineage to the line of David, and letting people determine that, yes, this is the Messiah from their own analysis. And also, it's probably a little bit of a safety reason, as not to antagonize the Pharisees who were steadfastly against him early in the ministry. Of course, as you know, the Pharisees held political power in Judea and acted with Rome in some level in keeping and manifesting that power. So that was an issue. So Christ was just being wise. From a manly basis, he's fully man, fully God. And Jesus answered and said unto them, go and show John again these things which ye do hear and see. So demonstrate to him what you're seeing with me, what you're doing, what you hear. 5, the blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised up, and the poor had the gospel preached to them. Okay, so he's doing miracles, he's preaching the gospel, he's fulfilling prophecy from the Old Testament linked to actions of the Messiah. So Isaiah 35, verses 4 to 6, chapter 42, verses 5 to 6, Isaiah 61, verses 1 and 2. That's all John needed to know. It should be plain to John the Baptist. Verse 6, and blessed is he whoever shall not be offended in me. Now this may be a little bit confusing. It seems like it's sort of a nothing. When we talk about offend in English, you might get upset over some little thing. The Greek word, however, as you remember, the New Testament was given originally in Greek, the lingua franca of the Roman world, is scandalizo. I usually think of it as scandalized. But it basically means upset the faith, cause to become a non-believer. It's a big deal. It's a terrible thing that happens to a person that causes them to move away from Messiah in unbelief. It's used 13 times in the book of Matthew. So he's telling John's disciple, and probably John himself, don't let your faith be upset by your experience, or perhaps I'm not proclaiming myself through a marketing agent that I'm Messiah and God and King of the universe. Um, don't let it make you lose your faith. Stand firm. Okay, so what have we seen today? John sends two disciples to Christ asking him, is he really the Messiah? Christ says yes, and maintain your faith. Okay, we will continue more about John the Baptist. Very interesting verses to follow next time. I hope you'll join me then.